Hello, hello. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the stream. Today we're going to be talking about failure and why it actually makes you better in the long run, and how you can pivot coming off of a failure and how you can use failure to your advantage. We're going to wait a few minutes while people are hopping into the live stream. But until then, I'm just going to welcome people into this stream, and I'm just going to ramble on a little bit. We're also going to cover the cybersecurity news from last week, like I have the past few weeks. And let me know, guys, if you enjoy the weekly news coverage or if you don't like the weekly news coverage, because we can definitely sub that out for something else, some other segment for these live streams. And for those of you who are missing the Hack the Box live streams and the Try Hack Me and the Perp Suite Web Security Academy live streams, those are going to come back in a different flavor. Don't worry. There's going to be polished videos on those in the next couple of months, but I have a couple things I have to do before I can really start getting the ball rolling on those, because a lot of people don't even know how to connect to Hack the Box Lab. So I still have to make the video like, hey, this is how you connect to a Hack the Box Lab. And if you're a little more advanced, then you obviously know that, but the channel is intended to help beginners as well as mid-level professionals. What's up, Paul? How's it going, man? What's up, Master Kyser? I appreciate the kind words. I like that. I like the sound of that, Master Kyser. If I can get everybody to call me that, then world domination. One one person at a time. How you been, man? What you been up to? Me? I'll let you know what I'm up to now. Recently failed the PMPT exam, and that's actually going to be a major talking point in today's live stream, so we're going to get more into that later. And then I'm also working through the CPTS content, the penetration tester path, as we speak. I just got done doing that earlier today, a couple hours. And I'm just knocking that out. I do want the PMPT certification. I do want the CPTS certification, because I remember your video, Paul, about the CPTS and PMPT, and you compared it against OSCP, and you're like, yeah, like everyone's saying the CPTS is better. And I feel like I have an OSCP, but I don't want to get left behind, because everyone's like, yeah, screw the OSCP, CPTS is better. So that's what prompted me to like go after the CPTS, because if it is the new gold standard, if it's becoming the new gold standard, then I want to have the gold standard certification. And I think I'm obligated as a professional in this field to have the latest and greatest certification on the market to prove that, yeah, I know what I'm talking about and I know what I'm doing when it comes to penetration testing. And the OSCP, while it is incredibly difficult, isn't exactly real world. I mean, one of the things about the OSCP that really mind boggles me was it doesn't let you do man-in-the-middle attacks. So like, for example, Responder, key tool for internal networking penetration tests, and they don't even cover that. You know what I mean? So like, the first time I even heard about Responder, I thought it was just like, oh, this isn't a big deal, they didn't put this in OSCP. If it was a big deal, it'd be an OSCP. Wrong. So got a cold dose of reality when I got in my first internal pen test engagement, and I'm like, what the heck is Responder? But yeah, that's a whole nother topic that I can talk about, a whole nother video. Not much, just deep diving into CrowdStrike and medical device hacking. I got a contact C2C with Blue Goat Cyber. Oh, nice. Dude, those are big moves. Those sounds like some big moves. I'm happy for you, man. That's sweet. Medical device hacking. I walked into Biohacking Village at DEF CON, and I was like, bro, I don't want to hack none of this. I know computers. This is a little bit different. Although I did do a IoT pen test on a medical device, a very small medical device. But that's my only exposure to hacking medical devices. I have no idea how many people's watching right now. but we're at 5 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the juice of the content, what you're here for, what the title of the stream's about. If you're just tuning in, thank you so much for being here. And I'm just gonna ramble on. I'm not gonna pay attention to the chat for the next 5 to 10 minutes, however long it takes me to do this. I'm trying to keep it under 10. And then after I'm done talking, we can have a discussion. You can ask your questions. If you disagree with me, feel free to disagree. If you agree with me, that's cool too. You're entitled to your own opinion, because this entire thing is my opinion. But here we go. Let's go ahead and pause the music, because it's time to get serious. So, failure. Failure is something that's going to happen to you during your career. Now, we are cybersecurity professionals, but even if you're not, it's going to happen. Obviously, it's a cybersecurity channel, so I'm going to lean more on that. And the reason why, by the way, this is coming from an old newsletter that I wrote like 9 months ago. Okay, if you are not subscribed to my newsletter, go to kyserclark.com/newsletter and you can get these insights well before I put them on a live stream, well before I put them in a YouTube video, because that's where the content is coming from. But I will say, I'm not reading exactly from the newsletter, so it is a little bit different because there's 9 months of experience past when I wrote that newsletter. And when I wrote that newsletter, I wrote it the day after I failed the OSWA, that's the OffSec Web Assessor certification, for the 3rd time. So after I failed that certification for the 3rd time, I had to write a newsletter because I write weekly newsletters. And that was a topic that was on my head. And that's how the newsletter goes. It's like, whatever I think is the most important thing that's going on in my career, or something that I think is incredibly important for my subscribers to subscribe to, that's what I write about. And on that particular day, it was about the OSWA failure for the 3rd time. And my mentality was this: yeah, it sucks. It's awful. I mean, I was irate after failing that for the 3rd time. I mean, I have never been that mad at something in my career ever before. I have reached levels of anger higher than that, but in terms of like career progression, that was probably the most upsetting thing that's ever happened to me. And I just thought I wasn't cut out to be a pen tester, right? Because I'm over here doing pen testing for real world web applications, but I can't pass an OSWA certification. And I felt like a fraud. I felt like an imposter. It sucked. But then after I got through that initial stuff, I'm like, no, I'm not going to let this beat me, right? Because it can only beat you if you give up. Failure isn't even failure until you quit. If you quit, that's failure. The real success happens after you decide that you're going to push past the failure. And a good analogy that I always like to say is this: Tom Brady, greatest football player of all time. Love him or hate him, you got to respect him. 7-time Super Bowl champion. That man has more Super Bowl rings than anybody. He's got the best stats for his position at the quarterback position. Considered the greatest of all time by many, if not all. I'm one of them. And that man, even though he won 7 Super Bowls, he lost 3 of them. So 7 wins in the Super Bowl, 3 losses in the Super Bowl. Furthermore, the guy played for like, man, I don't know the top of my head, 21 seasons? Maybe a little more than that. I'm thinking 21. So he was only in the Super Bowl for less than half the seasons he played in. Every year wasn't a success for him, but he came back year after year, and that's how he was able to have a very successful career. Same thing, Michael Jordan, he won 6 championships. I don't know how many years he played in the NBA, but he didn't win the championship. He didn't win the NBA Finals every year of his career. And for those of you who are gamers and not sports fans, you might understand this analogy. I used to be a huge gamer. I still am a gamer at heart, although I had to cut it back to really focus on my cybersecurity career. Imagine you're playing a video game and completing the video game, and you just quit after you died one time. How many video games would you actually finish? Think about it. If you just quit after your first death, if you quit after your second, third, or fourth death, how many video games would you finish if you actually quit within the first 5 deaths? Not many. I play a lot of video games. I die a lot, guys. It's part of the process, part of the game. And cybersecurity is no different. When you go after certifications, you're going to fail. You're going to pass a lot if you really put in the time and effort and energy, but you're also going to come across failures. I have passed 18 certification exams, but I have also failed 7 certification exams. And every failure sucks. But every time I failed, I tell myself, I'll get it next time. And that's the mentality you have to take when you fail. Furthermore, when it comes to failure, certifications aside for a second, let's say you're applying for a job. You're going to get rejected, guys. I have been rejected over 100 times when I was coming out of the military. A lot of people didn't think I had what it took to transition out of the military and be a successful pen tester in the civilian world, because it's a whole different world. Military world, civilian world, 2 different types of worlds, completely different. And I had a challenge. That was a huge hurdle to overcome, and a lot of employers didn't believe in me. And that was a huge hurdle. Got rejected over 100 times. Finally got a job that I really enjoy. But if I would have just quit, like, oh, you know what? Maybe pen tester's not for me. Maybe I should just stay in the military. Maybe I should go into a SOC analyst role. I thought about that. I literally thought, like, oh, I might have I might have to go into a SOC analyst role. But I was like, no, screw that. I want to be a pen tester, and I'm going to be a pen tester, and I want to do whatever it takes to get there. And that's the mentality I took. I didn't want to be a SOC analyst. I did not want to be a SOC analyst, and then I would have applied as many times as I needed to, do as many interviews as I needed to, revise my resume as many times as I needed to land a full-time pen testing position. And that's the mentality you have to take. You're going to get rejected. You're going to fail your certifications. You're also going to run into other hurdles. What kind of hurdles are you going to run into? Well, life happens, guys, right? You can be grinding out your certification studies or doing your labs, and you could break your arm. What's going to pause your momentum? You could lose a loved one. Your pet could die. My pet died on July 4th. My old cat. It sucks. It sucks. And it stopped all my momentum. Right? Because it was one of the saddest things I had to experience. And you got to keep going, right? It's okay to grieve. It's okay to like take a time out, but you can't let it stop your progress in the long run. So that's going to happen to you. That's going to happen to you during your journey. So hurdles, road bumps, flat tires, failure, it's all going to happen on your journey. So what do you do after you fail? So like I said, you have to take that mentality and be like, I'll get it next time, or we're going to get back on track no matter what. And you can't let it eat you up, and you can't let it beat you down, because if you do, it will. It absolutely will. And you can't fall in that trap. Also, understand this. If you fail, you're actually ahead of many, 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 many other people, because a lot of people don't even try. A lot of people don't even try. And those people are the real failures, because they're not out there trying it. You're trying it. If you fail, congratulations. You're ahead of 90% of people out there. And another thing I want to say about failure is I saw a quote one time saying that the best network engineers failed their CCNA on the first time. Now, I'm not a network engineer, but I did fail the CCNA the first time. And I failed it by, I think, 1.5%. Like, it was very close. Like, I almost passed it. And it was the first time I ever failed a certification exam. First time I failed any kind of exam. Outside of high school. I failed plenty of exams in high school because I just didn't care about high school, but that's beside the point. Actually, that's a good thing to talk about. You know, if people look at me like, oh, he's got all these degrees, he's got 2 degrees, he's got all these certifications, he must have been really good in school. Guys, I had a 2.0 GPA in school. I did not like school. I hated it. I did not pay attention. I was not a good student. And so if that's you, I didn't read anything. I didn't read in school. Like, they were like, hey, read this book. I'm like, I'm not reading that book. So, and I'm an avid reader now. So just because you wasn't into like being studious in your early years doesn't mean you can't be studious now. And I'm a prime example of that. I forget what I was saying. I was talking about, I got sidetracked. I was talking about failure. Man, I went in my GPA. I did not plan on doing that. What was I gonna say? It was gonna be give me a minute here. I remember now. So yeah, I didn't pass the CCNA my first try, guys. First exam, certification exam that I failed, and it sucked. And I passed it on my second try, but the reason why I passed it on my second try is because I went through an entirely different course and I read a whole different book to pass it. And going through the course material again, the certification exam material again, made me understand networking so much more. And then going to my OSWA failures, after I failed OSWA 3 times, I went and got the TCM Security PWPA certification. I was like, there's got to be something I'm missing here. There's a technique that I don't understand. Let me do some other training from a different provider and see if I can make it click. And the funny thing is, I failed the PWPA the first time too. And that made me feel like a big fraud, a huge one. But ended up passing the OSWA shortly after the PWA failure. And then I passed the PWPA like a day or two after I passed OSWA. Because those skills are like, they go hand in hand. They're very similar certifications. So it was a lot of overlap there. So I was able to knock them out in a very short amount of time. So those failures, because I went back, because I failed OSWA 3 times, I went back and got the TCM Security PWPA. More training, fine-tune my skills, more practice, more reps, and that's what it takes to be successful in anything. And if you fail, honestly, it's just an indicator that you might not have done enough reps. That's really all it means. You probably just didn't do enough reps. You might understand a lot of it, and you probably do. You're just there. You might just need one more thing, and it's frustrating, but you have to understand that's part of the process, and that's what everybody who wants to succeed in this field has to go through, in any field for that matter. And it's a necessary part of the journey. All right, I am done ranting. That's all I needed to say about failure. Hopefully you got some benefit out of this, guys. If you have any questions or opposing opinions or any comments or anything that I left out, drop it in the comments. I love to talk about this stuff. What's up, Echoverse? Thanks for stopping in. How you doing today? Appreciate you being here. We're also going to cover the last week's cybersecurity news from the cybersecurity headlines, and I'll throw in my 2 cents, my thoughts and feelings on what happened in last week's news. Also, let me know if you guys like the news, because if you don't like the news, I can easily sub it out for a different type of thing. I have like a million content ideas, but I only have enough time to do so much of it. And if the weekly news isn't something you guys want to see, then I will actually sub it out for something else. And if you want me to sub it out for something else, please provide a recommendation. Cypher missed it. It's all right, Cypher. The rerun will be on YouTube, and then the clip will be nice and polished. I cut out all of the pauses, like I just did. I just had a pause there. I cut out the pauses, and I really polish it up. and put it on YouTube, but that doesn't come out until a week later. So, but you can actually watch it, the live stream again. The live stream is rewatchable, the unpolished version. But thanks for stopping in, Cypher. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate the support. I feel like you're here on almost every stream. And now a word from our sponsors. Just kidding. There's no sponsors. The sponsor's me. I had no sponsors. It's actually freeing to not have sponsors. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice because I can say whatever I want, when I want, how I want. And I don't have to worry about it because I don't have any sponsors. I have been reached out for sponsorship opportunities several times, and I had declined all of them. Actually, I didn't even decline them. I just didn't respond back. Sorry, if you're one of the people that want to reach out for like collaboration on sponsorships, just know that the way you approach me and the way you pitch your ideas to me absolutely sucks. Like, because here's my thinking. Like, if you want me to do a sponsorship, like, you got to make it seem appealing to me, and like no one's making it appealing to me. Maybe I'm a different. I'm probably a different kind of influencer. I don't know. Influencer, guys. I'm not really. I am an influencer by definition, but I'm a practitioner first, and that will never change. What's up, Mohammed? Thanks for stopping in. How you doing today? We'll wait a couple more minutes here for people to join in, then we'll cover the news. If you guys have any questions in the meantime, comments, questions, concerns, opposing opinions, drop them in the comments. I'm hoping someone has like a really big opposing opinion. They're like typing it right now, and they're just taking a minute to put it in the chat. That's another thing. Let's talk about that for a second. So there's people are afraid of hot takes for some reason. Like, if you have an opinion, dude, just say it. Like, that's actually one of the ways of staying out in the field, right? You have to be, if you're highly opinionated on something that's a little bit against the grain, like, just say it, bro. Who cares if it doesn't align with other people's beliefs? As long as you're not insulting other people, then you're good. You know what I mean? That's I got that wisdom from the Phantom Sizzle from Michelle Khan. That book, he said that without an opinion you're just a sheep blindly following the herd. And I never forgot that. And that's what made my content really just click. I'm like, oh, I have all these opinions that I don't agree with about on certain subjects within cybersecurity. I try not to be opinionated, or at least not publicly, on things that I'm not versed in. And I'm a cybersecurity professional, so that's really not a thing that I'm gonna really have high opinions about. I do have high opinions about other stuff, but I'm not gonna make content about it because that's not the kind of content I do. I've noticed that a lot of cyber influencers are scared to be themselves. Yeah, man, you got to be yourself. That's the key to success in anybody making content right now. People want real, authentic stuff. You know what I mean? You know, I will admit, when I first started my content, I was not 100% being myself. Like, my words and what I was saying was what I believed in, but like I would like start the video with like a fake smile. I'm like, bro, I don't want a fake smile. Like, I just want to get right into it. No, I do naturally smile a lot though. But like, I would force a smile like right at the beginning just to like be more friendly, you know? Yeah, I saw you next in that talk. Yeah, that was a good talk. That was a great talk. He wrote about it in his book too. Did you get a copy of his book? It's a good book. I loved it. But that was honestly, that was like the main takeaway I got from that book. And that's the thing about reading. I'm going to talk about this in a future video. I did talk about this in a newsletter, but like, you know, top business professionals, they will read 400-page book for one insight. So all these books, like, I just need one takeaway from that book, and to me, it's like, ooh, good book. I don't need to. It doesn't need to be golden nuggets through the whole book, you know. What platform learn cybersecurity? And there's tons of them. I think the best one to start with is Try Hack Me, but that's just my opinion. There's tons of them out there that are good. There's plenty of them out there. What's my favorite cybersecurity device? What's up, Super's not Twitch? Thanks for stopping in. Glad to see you in the chat. By the way, if you see me talking to someone, you don't see their comments because I'm multi-streaming to 4 different platforms. My favorite cybersecurity device. The first thing that comes to my mind, which is right in front of me, is the Flipper Zero. But I mean, this is probably like the only device I have. I don't have like all the Hack 5 stuff. I don't have any Hack 5 stuff. I have used the Wi-Fi Pineapple Enterprise, but my company owns that, and it's not mine. It was all right. I mean, I still ended up using my Alpha adapter and my Kali Linux more than that thing. But I would say the Flipper Zero because it's fun, it's hipster. It got me a lot of YouTube views, and, but it's just easily accessible. You can just put it in your pocket and you can just do stuff with it. You know what I mean? It's fun to tinker with, but it loses its charm. And I say this in my review of the Flipper Zero. It loses its charm after a while, which is unfortunate because you run out of things to hack. That's the main thing. Like I ran out of things for me to hack, and I'm a bit frugal. I don't buy a bunch of random devices. I'm not that kind of guy to like just buy a bunch of stuff and tinker with them. I've never been that kind of guy. Like you hear if you go on a cybersecurity podcast, and I need to make a video about this, or I'll say it here, but I need to rope it into like my main content. Not that this isn't my main content, but this is just me more hanging out with you guys. But if you go on like most podcasts and you hear like people talking about like how they got into cyber, they're all like always like, yeah, I was a kid that was always taking stuff apart and putting them back together. Bro, that was not me. That was not me. I never took stuff apart and put it back together. Now I took stuff apart, but I didn't put it back together, and I didn't take it apart to better understand it. I took it apart because maybe I was a little curious on how it worked underneath the hood, but I didn't put it back together. And then, or most of the time, I broke it because I was very destructive as a kid. What's up, Death Bestower? Thank you so much for stopping in. I got busy and missed the content. Good thing you post your lives. Yeah. Yeah, I was telling Cypher that the live stream is always rewatchable. And the part, like the juicy parts, I will cut up and make polished videos and then put those on YouTube as well. Are you a red team? I am not a red team. I am a penetration tester. Different than a red team. I aspire to be a red teamer, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm a founder of an upcoming cybersecurity device, and what is the main thing you look for in a cybersecurity device? Ooh, we can give them live feedback right here on devices. You guys should take advantage of this opportunity. He's on Twitch. For me, man, I don't use a lot of cybersecurity devices like I said, but the main thing that I look for, I would say the main thing I look for is this something I can use every day? Is it going to help me out every day? Because that's really what it comes down to with any purchasing decision, not just cybersecurity devices. Like, I hate buying stuff that I'm going to use one time and just, let it collect dust. So that's the main thing for me. But I'm the type of person, I'm not trying to buy a bunch of devices because I think my Linux terminal has all the tools I need to do my pen testing and all that. For the Flipper Zero, to be honest with you, I just bought it because it was hip. Like, honestly, I bought it because countries are banning it. If you can get your country banned from other countries, that's actually the top thing that would make me buy your device. So if you make it so cool that these countries start banning the device, I will buy it in a heartbeat. I'll buy two. I bought two Flipper Zeros because of that. Because they're like, oh, we can't have the public having that. And as soon as someone tells me, as soon as any government, this is going to get a little political, but as soon as any government tells me that I shouldn't have something, I'm buying it right away. And that's just how it is. My father hid the screwdrivers because I would just take apart everything and break it. I hope my kid grows up like that. That's funny. All right, let's go ahead and get into the cybersecurity news, guys. Here we go. So, as always, these news articles are coming from the cybersecurity headlines by the CISO series. So, first headline here: City of Baltimore gets socially engineered to tune of 1.5 million. The city of Baltimore admits it has fallen victim to a con in which an individual spoofed a vendor and tricked city employees into changing the contractor's bank account information, according to the city's Inspector General, Isabel Mercedes Cumming, who also said the city's accounts payable department had failed to implement corrective measures after previous incidents of fraud and did not have proper protections in place to verify supplier details. The fraudster revealed the city of 1.5 million. The fraudster relieved the city of 1.5 million in two payments, only one of which has been successfully recovered. Wow. So this is a interesting story because I recently bought a house, and I feel like this is like the first thing they warn you about when it comes to like buying a house, if you read about how to buy a house. And I just think this is pretty crazy to have that much money go to a fraudster just because there wasn't like processes in place to like double check that information. That's a lot of money, which brings me into the main issue that I have with this one. This is going to be a little political again, but it's coming up cybersecurity, so I'm going to talk about it. But you're taking all this money from taxpayers, and you're not a good steward of the money. And guess what they're going to do? They're just going to keep collecting tax dollars to replace that $1.5 million. And in my opinion, that $1.5 million needs to go back to the Baltimore citizens, because the Baltimore citizens effectively paid this fraudster, because the people in the government is incompetent. And if I was in Baltimore, I would be irate about this. But it's a good lesson in, hey, anytime you send someone money, you need to quadruple check where you're sending that money to. You need to make phone calls. You can't believe everything you hear, right? You need to quadruple check, and you need to have multiple people in the process. Like, I just recently bought a house, and I had to wire the largest sum of money that I've ever wired in my entire life for my down payment. And you bet your bottom dollar that I made like 5 phone calls, I quadruple checked every single digit in that account, in that routing number. And I looked at all my paperwork and made sure it aligned. It was the same every step of the way. And I have a couple, we're talking about books on my bookshelf. I have a couple books on how to buy a house, and they actually talk about this. Like, if they try to change the account that you're sending the money to at the last minute, that's a red flag. And it's like, to me, that's common sense. But we got these people in government who are grossly incompetent, and we'll leave it at that. Sad story. Next article. I'm going to answer your question, Mohammed, before we get into the next article. You're saying how much time before finishing a pen test for a company? It all depends. It depends on the client's needs and goals. Sometimes a pen test can last a couple of days. Sometimes it can last a month. It just depends. Now, for us at my company, Kirkpatrick Price, the company I work for, we do pen test engagements from 1 week to 3 weeks. I've never seen one less than a week, and I haven't seen one over 3 weeks. So that's kind of where we're at. I would say on average 2 weeks. But it varies by client, it varies by pen testing firm, and if you're not a consultant, then that's different if you're an internal pen tester. By internal pen tester, I mean you're not a consultant, you're working for a pen tester. Like, for example, you're working for Acme Incorporated and you're pen testing Acme Incorporated. That's internal pen tester. How much money can you get? That's a good question. I love talking about money. I mean, just Google it, man. I mean, the average pen tester salary last time I checked was $126K in America, but where you're located at is highly dependent on like where your salary is. So if you live in a higher cost area living place, your salary is going to be a little bit higher. If you're in a lower cost living location, your salary is going to be a little bit lower. It really just depends on where you live and what country you're in. But I will say this, if you're in America or you're pen testing with a company that's based in the United States, you should not be making less than 6 figures. And if you are, you should definitely either A, negotiate a new salary, or B, find a new job and get something a little bit better, because pen testers, you should be making 6 figures or higher. You should be making 6 figures or higher. All right, back to the news. Ransomware gang takedowns create more smaller gangs. Cybersecurity observers are warning that the success that law enforcement agencies globally have enjoyed in taking down larger operations such as Lockbit, Black Cat / Alfie, and Hive, the results, which have focused largely on impounding or destroying the gang's infrastructures but not arresting the operators, has allowed the gang members to reform in greater variety. Malwarebytes tracked 60 new ransomware gangs operating this year. Researchers are attributing this growth to a mix of domain experience and commoditized malware and abundant AI, which is lowering the barrier to entry. Yeah, so this one here, I mean, to me, it's just common sense. Like, you're going to take down the operator's infrastructure, but you're not going to take down the operator themselves. That's like a police officer going up to a criminal who has a gun and be like, drop the gun, you're doing illegal stuff, you're out here hurting people, you're robbing stores, you're scaring people, drop the gun. And they just take the gun away from them and then walk away and don't arrest the guy. Like, come on, man. Like, use your 2 cents. Now, obviously, it's hard to figure out who the operators are. I'm not saying that it's easy feat. But if you know who they are, like, you got to go after them if they're in your country, if you can. So this isn't really surprising to me, and to me, it's just common sense. Like, yeah, if you take down the person's tools, like, they're going to just do it again. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's like, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. It's good that they're taking down these operations, these infrastructure, but that's you're not killing the root of the problem. You're only taking away the tools. It's so easy to spin up infrastructure nowadays. It's stupid easy and it's cheap, and it's getting cheaper and easier by the day. So they're just going to keep spinning up new infrastructure until you actually cuff these people and put them in a cell. That's the only way you're going to be able to stop it. The only way. Moving on to the next story. Legal pwn technique hides LLM prompts inside contract legalese. Researchers at security firm Pangea are warning of another creative way to jailbreak LLMs, empowering them with instructions that can be used to exploit vulnerabilities and circumvent cybersecurity practices. This one focuses on the inability of major LLMs to distinguish between instructions in their users' prompts and those hidden inside ingested data. We have already seen this with threat actors hiding prompts inside online calendars and inline comments inside documents, but now they are also being inserted into large paragraphs of legalese and contracts, carefully written to not raise suspicions among human readers. Not all LLMs are fooled, but the most popular and heavily used ones do succumb to the prompts more readily. This is a really interesting attack because this is something that I would have fell for, right? Because there's tons of. I recently purchased a house, and there's a lot of contracts that I will have ChatGPT review for me, and to like sort out the mess. And this is something I could easily fall for. So this is very smart tactics that threat actors are using. So I will give the threat actors kudos where it is deserved, because this is something I would fell for. But now that I know about it, this is why I got to pay attention to the news, guys. Now I'm not just going to randomly throw contracts into ChatGPT, because there is obviously potential issues that can happen with that. So looks like we got to read our contracts after all. We can't just give them to an LLM and hope for the best. That's just not how it's going to work, unfortunately. So if you got a long, lengthy contract, think twice before throwing it in to ChatGPT. SaaS company Workiva, is that how you say that? Workiva? SaaS company Workiva discloses data breach. Representatives of the company state that let me say that again. Representatives of the company state that attackers gained access to a third-party customer relation management CRM system and stole some of their data. Workiva's customer list contains some big names including Google, T-Mobile, Delta, Wayfair, Hershey, Slack, Santander, Nokia, Kraft Heinz, Wendy's, Paramount, Air France, KLM, Mercedes-Benz, and more. According to the Bleeping Computer, threat actors exfiltrated a limited set of business contract information, including names and email addresses, phone numbers, and support ticket content. Bleeping Computer has learned that this incident was part of the recent wave of Salesforce data breaches linked to the Shiny Hunters extortion group that impacted many high-profile companies. Man, this is a prime example of no matter who you do business with, your data's cooked, right? Because, I mean, you can be working on the most secure company ever, and their supply chain could easily get breached. So what do? Well, it's just you got to accept the fact that your data is not your data anymore. And once you accept that, life gets a lot better. And I'm not saying don't protect your data. You absolutely should protect your data where you can, but it's almost impossible to protect it, because if you want to be a person contributing to society, or you want to be a person who gets the benefits of living into a civilized civilization, then you have to cough over your data, right? Every time you make a bank account, they get all kinds of information. You buy a whatever, they need all kinds of information from you. And I mean, my trash company, I think they asked for my social security number for some reason. Like, you know what I mean? Like, your data's out there, and it's very unfortunate, but it's just the world we live in. Like, privacy is dead. Privacy is dead in this AI age, and it's very unfortunate. And there's nothing you can really do about it unless you go off grid and you live in the woods and you don't interact with society at all and you have no tech. But I would imagine 99.99% of you don't want to do that. There's a reason why civilization was created, because humans didn't want to do that. Right? Like, living off the land, it's hard. So that's, in my opinion, that's your two options. Now, like I said, be very careful who you do business with. Be careful what data you give them. And you don't always, here's a tip, you don't always have to give them the data that they're asking for. For example, last week, I called up a mechanic to do some work on my car. And the mechanic asked for my name, my phone number. Okay, that makes sense. I got to know who the customer is. I need my phone number so they can call me back when it's done. But then they asked me for my address. I said, why do you need my address? And they're like, because so we can send you coupons. I'm like, well, I'm not interested in your coupons. Do I have to give you my address? And they're like, mind blown. Like, no one's ever asked that question before. And they're like, I don't know. I don't think so. No, you don't have to give it. I'm like, all right, I'm not giving you my address. You don't need my address. And then I proceeded to do business with them without my address. And that's a thing you got to do. Like, for example, if a company asks you for your social security number, ask them, why do you need my social security number? And if they don't give you a good answer, then say, hey, can I do business with you without giving you my social security number? And if they're like, yeah, we don't need it, then okay, proceed. If they're like, yeah, we need it, but we don't know why, well, then it's probably in your best interest not to do business with that company, because they don't even know what they're doing with your data. Okay. Now, there are some situations where you do have to give over your personal information, your social security number, and it's required to do business with them. But just be mindful of what you're sending these companies, because everybody is pretty much breached at this point. Let's get back in the chat here. All these certifications behind you, all these certifications behind are for you? Yeah, these are my certs. I'm not hanging up no one else's certs. Yeah, they're all mine. They're all mine. What's up, Mr. Joshua? Thanks for stopping in. Caught the roadmap video you reposted today. Is becoming a bigger fan by the day. Thank you. I'm glad you like the content. I'm a USMC vet, getting an IT degree and certs you recommend simultaneously. I appreciate your guidance. Nice. Good luck. It's a long journey, as I said in the videos. You just gotta do it one thing at a time. One course, one module at a time, really, one day at a time. And it's crazy because, like, you'll spend 2-3 hours and, like, you feel like you're not making progress, but you do 2-3 hours every day over the course of years, you make a lot of progress. And that's the key to success, in my opinion, in this field and other fields. I don't have any expertise in other fields, but I have a hunch that it's kind of how it works if you don't want to be average. If companies or government can't protect your data, you should be allowed to mask your data legally. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, you should. Honestly, at this point, they need to just stop using social security numbers. They need to reissue everybody a new social security number at this point. The social security number was a scam to begin with. There I go, getting political again. It just keeps popping up in this stream, dog. That's funny. Anyways, Which step do you need to become a red team? I'm not a red teamer, but I would say the first step is become a pen tester, become a very good pen tester, not just like your average run of the mill pen tester, a good one, and then go from there. I mean, you can go straight into red team, but I argue that the best red teamers were once great pen testers. All right, so we got, let me take a sip of this Pepsi first. Oh my gosh. We only got 10 more minutes on the stream, guys. We got to hurry up and get through this. SAP invests in sovereign cloud infrastructure in Europe. The global enterprise software giant headquartered in Germany says it will invest $20 billion into expanding sovereign cloud infrastructure in Europe over the next 10 years, pitching itself as a secure and compliant alternative to American cloud giants. This move is intended to help provide a sovereign infrastructure for the public sector and regulated environments. However, some within the organization, including CEO Christian Klein, disagree with the initiative, favoring a focus on using AI to improve manufacturing and other processes for its customers. I don't understand how AI has anything to do with data sovereignty, to be honest with you. I don't know why that even is a factor when it's with this decision, but I digress. So yeah, this is an interesting one because we got Europe want to be sovereign. They don't want their data hosted in the United States, which makes a lot of sense because, I mean, you don't want to rely on other countries to host your data. I mean, there's a reason why there's some American companies that like they won't host their data in a European data center. They won't host their data in a Chinese data server. There's a reason why they almost banned TikTok. They actually did ban TikTok, is because we had American data hosted in China. So it makes perfect sense to me why they would want to do that. Because let's be honest, gonna get political again here. Man, it just keeps popping back up. The American government and America itself isn't exactly the most trustworthy entity that's out there. So it makes a lot of sense to me. And this is someone who used to be a United States Air Force veteran. Like, yeah, our government does a lot of shady stuff to its own citizens even. So imagine what they're doing to you as a non-US citizen. And I'll tell you what, it's not very good. So the data sovereignty thing makes a lot of sense to me. And that's not me being anti-American. I love the United States. I'm an American through and through. I'm actually going to buy an American flag and hang it up front of my house in the coming weeks because I love this country. But it is a fact of the facts that the government does shady stuff. And if you are dealing with the United States, at least with the United States government, you gotta be careful. What's up, Cool Trainer Jay? Bro, you were in the Air Force? I was 6 years active duty. Spent 2 years in South Korea and 4 years in Alaska. Spent my entire career overseas. And what a great 6 years it was. UK trying to kill privacy? Bro, they're not trying to kill privacy. Privacy, you done been dead. I thought that was the last news article. But yeah, you're right. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. Ooh, that's a good point. I never even thought about that. They want David sovereignty so they can spy on their citizens. The conspiracy continues, bro. Dude, you just enlightened me. That's a very valid point. I don't know how to say this word. Selfless ransomware spoofs Sentinel-1 as an attack vector. A new ransomware named Cephalus is casting its spear at law firms, financial services, healthcare organizations, architectural practices, municipalities, IT firms, marketing agencies in the US and Japan. Cephalus breaks in by leveraging remote desktop protocol RDP accounts that have not been secure with MFA. According to a report from security firm Huntress, the malware drops a real program executable from security firm Sentinel-1 into a computer's download folder. This is then tricked into sideloading malicious DLL, then runs the ransomware code. So files will also delete Windows shadow copy files, which companies also turn it to for recovery of their data, and also disables Windows Defender. So they're using Sentinel-1. This is crazy to me because like you can't even trust the EDR solutions, man, that we're supposed to trust. Man, what can you do? It's like you lose no matter what. Well, cybersecurity as a defender, it's like it's not about winning the game. It's about how long can you go before you lose. It's rough out here, dude. If you're a defender, it is not easy. It is not easy. And this is why burnout is so prevalent in our industry, because there's always new attacks and it takes a lot of time to stay versed. And shout out to everybody watching this right now, because you are staying versed. You're the real MVPs of cybersecurity. And this is why I said in my last stream, there's no work-life balance. You got to work all the time. And if you don't, then you're cooked. And this is a prime example of that. And everybody who is watching the stream right now, you obviously care about what you do. If you're already in the field or if you're trying to break in, you are, in my opinion, elite cybersecurity professionals or future cybersecurity professionals. Because I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of people that get in this field and they just coast and they just collect that paycheck and they don't really care. And I digress. Moving into the next headline. 2.5 billion Gmail users at risk. Entirely false, says Google. Google dismissed claims that 2.5 billion Gmail users were at risk for a major attack, calling them entirely false. Rumors seem to have stemmed from Salesforce-related breach tied to shiny hunters, which led to phishing and vishing attacks, but Google says Gmail itself was never compromised, adding that its protections blocked 99.9% of such threats, and urge users to remain vigilant against scams. Well, if it worked, then why would we have to remain vigilant, bro? I don't know. Is it entirely false? Do we believe Google? I don't believe Google. Your data is probably compromised. Like, you're probably at risk. You're always at risk. Everyone's always at risk all the time. And I don't really believe Google here because, yeah, they done some shady stuff as of late. But yeah, there's not much to say here. They said 2.5 billion Gmail users are at risk. Google says it's false. Who's right? Probably a little bit of both. Wrong slide. There we go. Last one. Hextrek AI exploits zero-day flaws. Hextrek AI, an AI-driven offensive security framework meant for red teams, have been leveraged by threat actors to exploit newly disclosed vulnerabilities at high speed, sometimes within 10 minutes, by orchestrating more than 150 security tools through AI agents. It scans, crafts, and delivers exploits on its own. This built-in retry logic allows exploit attempts to continue until successful, massively improving attacker success rates. Threat actors are also using the tool to flag vulnerable systems for resale to other criminals. The tool has already been used to exploit Citrix, NetScaler 0 days, and N-days. That's crazy. And that's really interesting that they're taking a tool that's designed for red teamers and then threat actors using it, which I'm not surprised because a red team is emulating threat actors. So if you're emulating threat actors, the threat actors are going to be using red team tactics, and red team tactics are definitely using threat actor tactics. So not surprised there. And has it been leveraged in real attacks? Of course it has. It's like saying like, oh, cyber criminals use pentesting tools to carry out their attacks. They use Nmap. Like, no duh. You know what I mean? That's like saying, oh, criminals are using kitchen utensils to murder people. Like, no duh. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, it's like, it's just a tool at the end of the day, right? Tools can be effective for good and for bad. And it's not just in cyber. It's literally, like I said, I use a kitchen knife analogy. Like it's going to happen. AI is a double-edged sword, and it will be for the foreseeable future, and so is every other cybersecurity tool. So, not really surprising here. And yeah, I don't think there's much to comment on that one. I mean, yeah, that's like saying someone who murdered someone with a hammer, and they're like, "Oh my God, he used a carpenter's tool to kill this man." Like, yeah, just does that mean we need to like worry about the hammer? Like, it's not the hammer. It's not the hammer that carried out the crime. It's the criminal. It's the guy. You know what I mean? Like, the hammer can do a lot of good. We can build a lot of cool stuff with his hammer, but you can also kill people with the hammer too. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Like, we got this red team framework over here. Like, oh yeah, we can do this to beef up security, and we can do a lot of good with this red teaming framework. But threat actors can also use it to break into your network. Like, no duh, no duh. Red teams emulate threat actors. The tools are interchangeable. It's how you use them, for good or for bad. That's my opinion on that. Okay, do we have any final questions before I end the stream? We went over an hour, but I am going to end it very soon, so get your last minute questions out of the way. I did 8 with civil engineering the whole time as an electrician, now pursuing network engineering. Nice. They started the AFSC was class systems technician, and then they changed it to cyber defense operations, which helped me out a lot because it helped me be more cyber to transition out. So I really like the name change, even though my job didn't actually change. But it helped me out when they changed the name from client systems technician to cyber defense operations. And then I got my cyber patch, and I love walking around my cyber patch. I did 6, was a Navy corpsman, got out in 13. Nice. What do I pen test? I'm a web application and a network pen tester. I do external and internal network penetration tests. I also have done Wi-Fi assessments and IoT assessments, although those are not my main 2 things. Those are like one-off things. Networks and web apps are my main 2 things. What's up, Jake Johns? Thanks for stopping in. Did you sign Pebbles' chest at DEF CON 33? I didn't sign anybody's chest. I don't know who Pebbles is. Should I know who Pebbles is? Because if I should, let me know and we'll make a connection. But I didn't sign any chests at all, so I know it wasn't me. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here. Stream, like I said, went over a little over an hour. Did not intend for that to happen, but you know, it's always fun hanging out with you guys and talking to you guys. So hopefully, you guys have value out of this. If you're watching the live stream, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It signals YouTube that you like this kind of content, and it will throw my other content to the people who need to see it, which is beneficial for everybody when my content goes out to other people. Because if we can get my content to pop up on people's YouTube feeds, that means they're watching less garbage and actually taking in educational content, and that makes cyberspace more secure for everyone. If my videos can replace twerking videos and reaction videos and videos that are a waste of your time, then in my opinion, we're doing good in the world, right? Because there's a lot of bad videos on YouTube that are just a complete waste of time. And if we can get my videos to take up those slots and then get people to click those videos, we are winning the game. Because we need more cyber defenders. We need more people in tech. We don't even need more people in cybersecurity, just all tech all around. And we need to get people back to being productive members of society, because it's one of my biggest pet peeves right now is like people are like sitting around just doing nothing, like not contributing to society. Like they're just like eating nachos. I mean, I'm on a rant today. Eating nachos, watching reaction videos to the reaction videos to the reaction videos. You're like, bro, like this is like literally, they call it brain rot for a reason. These kids are eating so much brain rot in their brain. And it's like, bro, we need to get this educational content out there, man. And it doesn't need to be my content, but man, it can be. I just wish more educational content was more mainstream, dude, because society needs it today. Society needs it today, and this is one of the reasons why I make content that I do, because no one ever told me that I could make a career hacking computers. No one told me that, and that's why I make the content I do. So hit the share button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, signal to the YouTube algorithm that this content is valuable, and then maybe we can turn one brain rot kid into a cybersecurity professional to defend against these cyber criminals. I hate reaction videos. Brother, me too. Me too. There's a reason why I haven't done one. There's a reason why I haven't done any reaction videos. Although I will admit I have thought about doing hacker reacts to hacking in video games. I think that'd be kind of interesting. Or like hacker reacts to hacking in movies. I think maybe something like that. But yeah, reaction videos. Like when people are like reacting to when people are reacting to, I don't know, some weird thing. They're like, or like Mr. Beast video, like, bro, why? Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening to the rant, and thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting the content, and yeah, a lot more content on the way. We got the Hackers podcast coming out every Wednesday. We got one episode dropping tomorrow, so yeah, I got tons of content lined up. By the way, if you want the content early, you don't have to do this, but as a member, you can get the content early. So I usually make the videos like a week, sometimes 2 weeks in advance. And if you're a member, you're going to watch it early. But if you don't want to be a member, that's okay too. You'll get the same content. You just get it on when it releases. Usually a week or two later. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. You guys take care. Keep hacking. Keep grinding. You guys are going to make it. And all your dreams will come true. I wish you guys all the